Assalamualaikum and hi. In this video, me and my team want to present about experiment 1, purifying solid via recrystallization of benzoic acid and salicylic acid. Recrystallization is one of the most important methods used to purify solid organic compound, which relies on the different solubility of solid in a solvent. Objective of this experiment is to purify solid compound using recrystallization method and to dissociate impure sample using minimal amount of hot solvent. In this experiment, benzoic acid and salicylic acid is dissolved in hot distilled water and will crystallize when it fully dissolved. As it when cool at the end, we will get the crystal compound that form after the cooling down process and to analyze the difference before and after recrystallization. I will continue the presentation with the methodology. 1 gram of impure benzoic acid was weighed and transferred to 125 ml conical flask. 20 ml of distilled water was added to conical flask and placed on the hot plate to be heated. The mixture that boiled until benzoic acid dissolved completely. Conical flask was then removed from the hot plate and the solution as mixer. Water is added in small increment of some of the particles of benzoic acid still in undissolved. 50 ml of distilled water was added to the mixture when there was no solid benzoic acid visible. The conical flask containing benzoic acid was placed on the overtop to rest for 50 minutes. Solid crystal then collected by setting up a vacuum filtration in a clear Bunchel funnel apparatus. The mixture in conical flask was poured into a Bunchel funnel and the vacuum was started. A spatula was used to spread out all the crystal from conical flask. The conical flask then rinsed with 5 ml of distilled water and poured it back into the Bunchel funnel. The conical flask was immersed carefully into an ice bath and left for the filter to be crystallized for 50 minutes. The solid crystal was collected by following step 5 until 7. The conical flask was rinsed again with 5 ml of chilled distilled water, following by pouring it into the Bunchel funnel. Vacuum pump was run for a few minutes more to start air drying the crystal. A spatula was used to fill the filter paper and crystal out all the Bunchel funnel. The crystal on the filter paper was pressed with large paper towel as dry as possible. The crystal was left to air dry for 50 minutes until it's completely dried. The dry crystal was transferred to a pre-weighed filter paper and the weight of dry crystal of the recovered benzoic acid was determined. Step 1 to 14 were repeated, the same by replacing benzoic acid with salicylic acid. This image shows the final result of recrystallization of benzoic acid and salicylic acid. My name is Nurul Fatih binti Hishamuddin and I will continue the presentation with the result. This is the result of experiment that my group has conducted. The mass of pumping oil used is 0.22 gram, filter paper is 0.90 gram. The initial weight of benzoic acid is 1.03, while the final weight after recrystallization of benzoic acid is 2.62 gram. To get the purity of pure weight of benzoic acid, 0.42 grams, final weight is minus with bumping ball, filter paper, and initial weight. While for pure weight recrystallization of salicylic acid is 0.38, to get the pure weight of recrystallization of salicylic acid, final weight must minus with the bumping point, filter paper, and initial weight.
A very good day. I would like to greet to our doctor. My name is Rihanna Rainer, and today I will be presenting about the discussion part for this video and this experiment. So first of all, it is the determination of percent recovery for both benzoic and salicylic acid. So the percent recovery for benzoic acid was recorded as 146.96%, Meanwhile, the recovery for salicylic acid was recorded as 131.61%. So a percent recovery computes the percentage of an original substance that are recovered after it undergoes chemical reaction and computes its efficiency. Some elements are purified with the process of recrystallization in organic chemistry, in which after this process there are some amount of the original substances that may lost. There are two cases of which percent recovery yield the below 100% and above 100%. The value below 100% is usually a desired value, but during this experiment, we got a value of more than 100%, which probably due to erroneous or inaccurate reading. It was also probably due to the crystal not properly dyed, which can be considered as an improvement in the next experiment by drying the crystal in an oven before wetting it. So, in this experiment, why suction filtration vacuum is to be preferred to gravity filtration. So, first of all, suction filtration is much faster than gravity filtration, often taking less than 1 minute with good seals and a good vacuum source. Secondly, suction filtration is more efficient at removing residual liquid, leading to a purer result. This is especially important in crystallization as the liquid may contain soluble impurities which could absorb back into the solid surface when the solvent evaporates. That's all from me. Thank you.
For question number 3, discuss the purpose of boiling stone and why it is not reusable. Boiling chips of stone are tiny bits of porous black rock, frequently silicon carbide, that are put to a solvent or solution. They have a lot of surface area, which can serve as a nucleation site for the creation of solvent bubbles. Trap air that bubbles out when the liquid is heated, and they contain a trap air. They should not put to a liquid that is nearly boiling. Doing so could result in a violent bubble eruption. The physics of boiling stone can only be altered once before the solvent fills them up, rendering them incapable of producing bubbles. Impure benzoic acid was dissolved in hot water. The container of solution was placed in an ice water bath instead of being allowed cooling slowly. What will the result of cooling the solution in this manner? The answer of this question is cooling the solution in this method will result in premature crystallization. This will result in the crystals that are forming to continue to have impurities because the mixture wasn't allowed to cool properly before inserting it in an ice bath, and crystals were formed before they were meant to. For our precaution step, first, do not add too much water or the solution will be not saturated and the yield of purified benzoic acid or salicylic acid will be reduced. Second, use boiling stone before bringing the solution to boil. Third, to ensure no dust contamination occurs during the cooling down the process, the alien mayfly should be covered with an upside-down small beaker. Fourth, if crystallization does not occur after 10 minutes, scrape the sides of the flask above the level of the solution with a sharp end of a glass rod hard enough to audibly scratch the entire surface of the flask. This may dislodge some undetectable small crystals that will drop into the solution and seed the solution, helping the induced crystallization.
Conclusion of this experiment: the experiment is successfully achieved to purifying solid compound via recrystallization of benzoic acid and salicylic acid. The technique recrystallization was used because it is elementary method to purify a solid compound. Percentage yield for benzoic acid and salicylic acid be indicated. The initial sample had a low concentration of purities. But to handle this experiment, no need add much water or the solution not saturated.